Noita is a game made by the most masochistic people on Earth, the Finnish. We're the most masochistic people. Me. Every plant, pixel, and deer is sent by God to kill you. Through the power of magic and self-flagellation, I have mastered the art of spellcrafting, and I am ready to enact my revenge on God by commanding 10,000 bees that move at the speed of sound and might crash your game. The first step of my plan is to enter stage 10 capitalism and use blunt force trauma to earn twice the amount of money. Perfect. After terrorizing the local population and gently removing the gold from their corpses, I enter the first of many holy mountains and get the perk Tinker Everywhere, which means I can now make weapons of mass destruction anywhere I want. Before I had the chance to create said weapon, I got the shit beat out of me by a swarm of bats. Then I was tortured by some of my wasp brethren, leaving me no choice but to run for my life. Eventually, I will command that wasp and make him my slave. But for now, I make it to the Holy Mountain, where I attempt to go back up to meet my shrooms dealer, but the gods are not too happy with that. So, I kick a statue into Steve's crotch so hard that he explodes. Searching for my shrooms, I can't find them, but I do find my favorite spell, a shotgun. Once I have burnt Steve to a crisp, I turn all of my blood into oil and become immune to fire. With my homing fire shotgun in hand, I head into Hisi base and torch the local population alive, so I can steal the most important spell in the entire game, the chainsaw, which can make you go from the pathetic Chud to the machine gun wielding Giga Chad she tells you not to worry about. With my new homing chainsaw shotgun murder stick, I head into the jungle in hopes of finding love, and after committing environmental atrocities equal to the BP oil spill, let me practice my Finnish here, the titular Havojima Stari appears and starts pumping its love right into me. I get so excited, I start spraying ambrosia everywhere. However, my love for Havojima Stari was just like my love for escorts, purely transactional, but increasing my base HP from 330 to 765, and I hope to see him again later. At the next Holy Mountain, I find some much needed healing bolts, which basically allows me to heal at any time now. And I met Steve's older brother, who was not too happy that I stole the family jewels. So, I turned him into a pile of sand. Now that I have the ability to heal, it's time to go to frat parties, parallel worlds, and hell to find my bee army. And if you're liking the video so far, subscribe. Now, back to the frat parties. I got an invite to one in the mail from Alchemisti, but since it is in a different cave, I have to black hole my way out. Along the way, I was crossing a bridge and was interrupted by a tentacle monster, who I kindly convinced to melt themselves with a plasma beam, as I had a party to go to. Under the mountains of Midwest snow, I discovered the secret chapter house, only to see that the party was actually just one hooded guy sitting in a basement. And so, I gave him every anime girl's dream and turned all of his projectiles into tentacles, so I could watch them tear into every orifice and rip him apart from the inside. He was kind enough to drop his Greek letters though, which now gives me infinite black holes and healing, and allows me to go to Wandmart, where I continue my search for a swarm of bees, and I try my best to avoid the local Wandmart population as usual. After holding the Wandmart hostage for about an hour, and still not getting my bees, I decided it's time to hop into a parallel world to violently explode anyone who gets in the way of me and my bees. But after many trips to Wandmart and parallel worlds, I decide to kill the meatball pimp who was guarding my escort, which very nearly completely crashed my game due to the severe amount of blood loss. You gave me a happy ending and increased my HP from around a mere 300 to 17,000. You might be wondering how this works, and well, I don't know. After searching high and low in the meat realm, I was still not able to find my swarm of bees I wanted so badly. So, what do? I start ascending into heaven and search for them. But I think God was so afraid that I would find my swarm of bees up there that he trapped me in an hour-long PowerPoint presentation as some act of divine punishment. If God will not accept his defeat, I will have no choice but to go to hell. So under the massive lava lake, I spent hours scouring the depths of hell in search of my bees, but to no avail. But after 15 parallel worlds, hours of searching heaven and hell, it is my honor to present to you version 1 of my ultimate bee wand that I will use to strike down God. Well, I was led astray. I was told bees were the ultimate weapon of mass destruction, but I think I still have something in mind. See, the frat bro from earlier dropped a crystal key, which is necessary to unlock the coral chest. Using the hint from the key, it tells you to go drop it next to 4 music boxes located in your world. One atop the tree, one that is usually inside of a lake, one in the desert, and one in the Midwest. Simple as that, you have now unlocked the divide by 2 and 4 spells, which improved my wand by quite a bit. Yet there was another spell that I needed to complete my wand. You see, in the tree there is eternal wealth, giving you 3 times the amount of gold at the cost of making every wall and floor try to kill you, which is usually a death sentence as it deals 150 damage a second, unless you have something around 42,000 health, at which point it isn't really a problem. However, if you take it down to the secret area named the Tower, and toss yourself into the Aravis Diamond, you will be blessed with the one and only divide by 10. And so, version 2 of the bee wand is fully complete. However, I was still very disappointed with my results, making me rethink my entire build up until this point. What is it that bees actually need? Of course, they need pollen. Why didn't I think of this before? And so, I built this incredibly beginner tactic called a pollen engine. See, it works since the pollen is a projectile that can be destroyed by another projectile striking it. If that projectile striking the pollen has a trigger, then a payload is released upon its collision. So if you add another pollen into there, it will create a chain. Eventually, the loop can cause this. And it can be quite useful in the first area of the game. Now here is my magnum opus, my bee machine. Basically, it creates a loop of pollen that copies itself when it gets hit. When that pollen gets hit, it will spawn bees that will duplicate themselves upwards, and then divide themselves by 10, 4, and then 2, repeating this process for each duplicated bee. So, is this enough bees to kill God? Let's give it a test run. Perfect. Now, will God be overpowered by my swarm of bees? Or will he simply swat them down and send me back to the beginning and erase all of my hard work? Let's find out. And well, my game crashed, so I guess there is really no way to tell. So we can call it a draw. Thank you for watching.